ABC 10 News at 7 starts now.
We are just 12 hours away from the polls opening for Election Day 2020. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. 3 days of early in-person voting wrapped up just about an hour ago. Our ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco is at the Registrar of Voters, where election workers are getting ready for a long and historic day.
Even with historic high early voter turnout, lines here at the Registrar of Voters are expected to be long when the polls open Tuesday morning at 7. Dennis Morton is one of the tens of thousands of San Diegans taking advantage of in-person voting early.
This is my chance to hopefully, say this is what I want.
For the first time, the county opened 235 super polling locations on Saturday. Normally, there are 1,600 small precincts open only on Election Day. San Diego State is one of them, the size making it easier for social distancing.
Every 4 years, it's a Super Bowl for us, but this one has certainly taken a different tone in itself. Nothing have I seen of conducting elections in my 24-year career have I seen something like this for a presidential race. Of course, we're doing it under the cloud of a pandemic.
Registrar of Voters Michael Vu estimates more than 1 million people have already turned in their ballots. That's roughly half of the county's registered voters. He says this year, the early returns might represent more than 60% of the vote. In 2018, the early numbers reflected just 33%.
That's just an amazing number. I've never seen that percentage in that first report because you're really waiting for the polling place results to come in. And the fact is we don't have the mail ballots in our hand.
Whether you vote by mail or in person, Morton believes there is no excuse not to cast a ballot.
It really does matter everywhere. And you have to feel, as much as we've all been talking and it's been such a forefront of everything, people at least do something about it. Don't be the guy who sits at home, talks a lot of crap, but doesn't do anything about it.
As of Monday afternoon, roughly 70,000 people took advantage of voting early in person. Reporting at the Registrar of Voters office, Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
One of the most contentious local races this year has been the San Diego mayor's race between Todd Gloria and Barbara Bree. ABC 10 News reporter Jeff Lasky spoke with them today about the surprise endorsement that could make the difference if the race is tight.
Just 1 day to go and one final push to convince voters by Barbara Bree.
We'll be waving signs at a busy intersection near my house.
And Todd Gloria.
We're going to be just pounding the pavement and hitting the phones and hitting the text messages all day long.
The race appears to be close. The most recent ABC 10 News Union Tribune scientific poll about a month ago showed essentially a dead heat. With both candidates being Democrats, it isn't clear how the city's Republicans will vote. This weekend, the Republican who almost made it through the primary weighed in. City Council member Scott Sherman tweeted his support for Gloria. His critique wasn't on policy, it was personal. Sherman tweeted, "I can't in good conscience vote for Barbara Bree. She is inauthentic, inconsistent, and untrustworthy." Gloria told me he's gratified by the endorsement.
We're from different political parties and we disagree on many, many issues. But at the end of the day, he's casting his vote based on character. And what he shared, I think, is something that's really meaningful to me.
But Bree told me she thinks Sherman endorsed her opponent because she's beaten him on key issues and in the primary, also suggesting he has trouble with a strong, independent woman.
I made it to the final two. So for the first time ever in San Diego history, there are two Democrats in the final two. And this probably bruised his male ego a little bit.
Neither candidate is sure what effect Sherman's endorsement will have on the race as they make their last pitch to voters.
I'm the independent Democrat, the one who is not beholden to the special interests who have controlled City Hall for too long.
We're going to win this election next Tuesday, and we're going to restore some civility to politics in San Diego.
Jeff Lasky, ABC 10 News.
Another race that's drawn a lot of bad blood is the 50th congressional race between Darrell Issa and Amar Campa-Najjar. Our ABC 10 News Union Tribune poll last week showed Issa with an 11-point lead. But because Democrats dominated early voting, the early returns tomorrow night could show Campa-Najjar artificially in the lead.
So things are going to look good for Amar Campa-Najjar by 8:05, 8:15. The next set of returns that come in are going to be the ones starting at between 9 and 10:30 that will come in from polling places.
UC San Diego political scientist Thad Kauser says that could be as much as a 10 to 15 point swing to ISA until the rest of the ballots are in. And this seat, which was formerly held by Duncan Hunter, is the last Republican stronghold in the county.
Local law enforcement agencies are gearing up for the possibility of demonstrations and civil unrest. Although it has no credible knowledge of any planned protest, San Diego Police Department will open its operations center tomorrow. That's only activated during major events as a hub to filter and disseminate intelligence.
We are not fully stopping the operations center. What we're doing is we're putting it on a monitoring status, if you will, and we feel that that's prudent given the climate that we're in.
In the meantime, the sheriff says his department will be adequately staffed. The highway patrol is moving officers to 12-hour shifts. And the local FBI has set up an election command post as well. With so much uncertainty, businesses in San Diego aren't taking any chances either. Tonight, we found them boarding up late today at the Church of Scientology building on 4th Avenue downtown. We also found the windows and doors boarded up at the downtown Ralph's. Business owners want to avoid a repeat of the damage and looting that happened over the summer following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. ABC 10 News is your source on election night. We will have live wall-to-wall coverage on our streaming devices, including Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and your smartphone. To watch, just download the ABC 10 News app or go to 10news.com for the very latest on all the races that matter to you.
We have a crime alert. The FBI needs your help finding the man who robbed a Scripps Ranch bank this afternoon. They released pictures of the robbery at the Chase Bank on Scripps Ranch Boulevard. A man claimed that he had a gun. He made off with cash. He is white, in his 20s or 30s, about 5'10", with an average build. Call the FBI or Crime Stoppers if you recognize him. And turning now to coronavirus, here are the latest numbers. The county announced 307 new cases today, bringing our total to 57,400. There were no new deaths reported, which is typical for a Monday. That total stays at 891. Mission Middle School in Escondido is closing for 2 weeks because 3 people associated with the school have tested positive for COVID-19. The district is not saying if the infected people are students or staff. In a press release, the district says the cases are unrelated, but on-campus activities at Mission Middle School will be suspended through November 16th.
2 UC San Diego vaccine trials that were put on hold are back up and running again. One started up today using mobile clinics. The other resumes tomorrow using trailers in National City. Both clinical trials were in phase 3 but paused when people started getting sick. Once it was verified the vaccine didn't cause the illness, the trials were given the okay to restart. We have information on our website if you'd like to take part. An Uber driver says that she was physically assaulted by a passenger last night in La Mesa after a dispute over a mask. She told our ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chin things turned ugly when she refused to give the woman a ride.
Okay, so why you pulled over? Can you get out of my car? No.
It wasn't long after this exchange when Tia says things turned violent.
The most insane experience with driving Uber I've ever had.
Just past 6 Sunday night, Tia, who started driving for Uber last year, arrived for a pickup outside the Echo Point apartments. Tia says a man and the passenger's sister ushered the passenger into the car with a warning for Tia. The passenger was drunk.
Did not have a mask on, so I asked her if she could please just put a spare mask that I had in the back seat. It took her a while to put the mask on, but she eventually did.
As the ride got started, Tia says her passenger wouldn't let it go.
She said in a very snarky tone, Are you more comfortable now that I have a mask on? She was very drunk, very belligerent, was yelling.
Tia says she decided to end the ride.
I was fed up with the disrespect.
Tia says she returned to the pickup spot and asked her to get out repeatedly, but the woman refused. Tia recorded some of it on her phone.
If you don't get in my car, I'm calling 911. 911.
Tia did call 911. Tia tells us when she got out of the car and reached in to remove the woman's belongings.
She grabbed me in the neck region from behind.
Tia says the passenger became violent, chasing her around the car for several minutes, at one point hitting her in the right eye. Tia says the passenger's sister and the man came out and subdued the woman, allowing Tia to drive away and meet police.
I couldn't believe that I was assaulted essentially for telling someone to wear a mask. People just need to treat each other with respect. Just wear a mask and follow the CDC's guidelines.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
Tia says her eye still hurts, but she is feeling better. She is hoping an arrest will be made so the message is sent that this is not okay.